Let's get to the dailies. I think the first daily, but we'll bring in our analyst for the dailies, Mr. Sam Kargo, who is a senior advocate of Nigeria. But as soon as he gets in, I understand, as soon as he gets in, we'll get to discuss with him. But let's go to the Blueprint newspaper. Blueprint newspaper. The headlines, optimism as Ojulari, Kida take over at NNPC. So there are two things. I understand the gentleman is from, is it Kwara State now?
Yes, indeed.
So they are saying that he's still a Yoruba man, that this Yoruba-centric administration of Bola Tinubu continues, whether it's coming from the southeast or whether it's coming from the north, central or not. So I don't know. You know, now at least he's spreading it out. It used to be Lagos-centric. But it's spreading it out. You know, we are screamed
Yoruba-centric across two regions.
Yeah. So we were screamed when Muhammadu Buhari was president. Said you cannot do this. This is not working. This is Nigeria. The constitution doesn't allow this. But it gives them discretion to choose whoever they want to work with. But
yet again, the contradiction between what our laws and, in fact, our policies say and convention. Okay. The federal character principle is suffering here. You know, and Nigerians from those states, Nigerians from some other parts of the country, particularly the north, are saying that, look, Mr. President, there's competence everywhere, and we have been shortchanged in the appointment of your administration.
Even some of his kingsmen are even screaming that at the end of the day, it's about he can choose whoever he wants. Let's be clear on that. He can choose 5 people from his state. No law break. He hasn't broken the law. The most important is that he have to pick one person from his state when it comes to ministers. But all of these appointments, because being the GCE of NNPCL is a juicy responsibility. So everybody wants a piece of the pie. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, Tinubu sets $30 billion investment, 2 million barrel per day target for new board by 2027. Team capable of achieving surpassing targets. Tom Polo has spoken, the former militant.
And CEO, we believe, of Tantita Security Services.
Yes, founder of Tantita. Abdulrazak hails new GCEO pedigree. Analyst wants Kyari prudence sustained. So, shout out to Mele Kyari. Some of us have been screaming that I think it's time to go. Finally, he's bowed out. But he's done a few things. He's opened the books of the NNPCL. Before he came in, the books were never opened. There are certain things they do I don't totally agree with, but at least we'll give him credit for opening the books of the NNPCL. We went from about minus 800 billion naira in deficit to plus 3 trillion naira in profit, although it's paper profit most of the time because we're forward sold a lot of things, so we are paying back. Anyway, that one, the PIA was under his leadership. The coming on stream of the refineries were under his leadership, whether it's naphtha blending or whatever it is. Anyway, it came on stream. So he's recorded some success, opening the books for me, the refineries as well as the PIA. So now what personally I would expect, and lots of Nigerians expect, beyond expertise, is transparency. The NNPC is too opaque. It's like voodoo sometimes what happens in the NNPCL. So more transparency will engender people, and let's IPO this NNPCL so that people can buy shares and more governance structure will be enhanced as far as the NNPCL is concerned.
But Jeffrey, I insist so that people can profit, you know, from the infrastructure that has been developed at home. If not, all of this would have remained an academic exercise and excellence, as far as I'm concerned, without Nigerians benefiting from it. But let's go to the Nigerian News Direct this morning, and it focuses on the economy. Listen to this: economic hardship. Well, let's go to other stories on the front page of the Nigerian News Direct. Of course, this paper also focuses on the newly appointed Group CEO of the NNPCL, and of course, you can go to the inside pages where you can get a close look at his CV. He's had ties with the Shell Development Company Limited, former head at Renaissance Group, and so many other achievements. He's worked at the international scene as well, for a board member, I believe, of Petroleum Engineers. So quite a lot to look forward to as far as his CV is concerned. But will he translate his years of experience as a sterling petroleum engineer into more achievements at the NNPCL? there's a lot of optimism in that regard. So we hope to see results. And look at the front page as well of the Nigerian News Direct. You see the court decision, the tribunal verdict on the Edo governorship election. Edo Guba Igodalo heads to appeal court. Yes, we saw that statement come through yesterday that they would take up, their case to the appeal court as tribunal upholds Ukpevolo's victory. A lot of other stories on the front page of the Nigerian News Direct, but we can rest on that for now while you do all of the diving to get more details later on. But stay with the morning brief at this particular point in time. Perhaps, Jeffrey, it would be time to take a look at some of what our viewers are saying as far as the big stories are concerned.
Okay.
And we could start with
that traffic. If we have the videos ready, we'll get to talk about that traffic where the federal government had ordered the reopening of the Independence Bridge located on Victoria Island. But I was listening to the radio on my way here. Some callers into the program were saying that that bridge has not yet been reopened. I don't know whether that's true, so that's why we're asking for your confirmation. Because Lagosians, especially those who work and do business on the island, they've been through hell and high waters in the last 24 hours. Some have spent about, I understand, 4 hours, 6 hours. Some had to go back. So if we could get a look at that particular one, as soon as we have it, we'll get to see the situation as it was yesterday. So our producer will get it to us. But we'll move away from that to tell you that the president is out of the country. Yesterday, we got the presser from these handlers saying that he will be leaving the country for 2 weeks. They call it fortnight, which is about 2 weeks. He's going on a working visit, and he's going to be there in France, in Paris. You know, that's his favorite destination to go to. So that's him heading to his aircraft, waiting. Some persons were waiting for him. I think top government officials, members of cabinet, including the FCT minister as well, were seeing him off as he heads out to France on a working visit for 2 weeks. So he's going to be working from France.
Jeffrey, you've been emphasizing that. That taking, the president's second home is France. He has ties with France, on a very deep level that some of us may not understand. And he also has, quite a good relationship with the president of France as well. The last exchange that they had, trended on Twitter. But
some of his favorite persons.
We wish the president well, and we look forward to more results as he scrutinizes the performance of his administration during that working visit in France. Speaking of which,
he should stay here and scrutinize.
May 29 is here already.
There's no better place to scrutinize what you've done for 2 years than here. Don't go outside and scrutinize.
Jeffrey, there's nothing you can do about it.
I have to say my mind anyway.
Okay.
But I wish him well.
Mindset.
I'm saying stay here and do the evaluation, Mr. President. The heat is on.
Mindset. Of course, that big story that we've reviewed already, what are you saying about it? The president has sacked NNPC LGCU Milik Kyari and appointed engineer Bashir Bayo Ojulari as the new GCU and Hamadu Musa Kida as non-executive chairman. So FAO1SGR is the first user this morning who says all stellar portfolios in this round of appointment, Austin Uvuri and Babs Omotowa are both juggernauts in oil and gas, as well as the new GCU Ojulari. Let's see what these eggheads, you mean to say, or heads have in store for Nigeria's treasure trove. So we said it earlier, a lot of optimism there, even from our users this morning. But let's see how it goes.
There's always optimism from the profile of the gentleman. I understand they know their onion, they understand the way this thing works. But as a Nigerian who has watched that space for a long time, before expertise right now, I'm not interested in expertise first. I'm interested in transparency.
Absolutely.
Transparent. No matter what expertise you're bringing, if the NNPC is still opaque, it's failure to me. We need to understand what is going on in that space. How much of our oil is being sold, how much is yet to be sold, how much is negotiated to be sold, how much we're owing, all of that. That's the good part of the opening the books that I congratulated Milik Kyari for, because it helped us not to make assumptions in some of these things. So the NNPCL needs prudent, better management so that we don't get through where we are not able to meet our domestic obligation is this forward sales. And I don't know any company that will allow that to happen, but this is where we are. So this person, Nuruddin, says, congratulations, it's a new dawn at NNPCL. I hope and pray this new dispensation will be more pro-Nigerian than the outgone one. Congratulations, MKRE. You've done your best. It's time to step aside and also watch, advise, and constructively criticize. Maybe you write a book as well, because that's a trend in Nigeria. When they leave, they write the book.
Yeah.
Because you have the next
tell
one.
Their own side to the story, but how much of accountability was delivered while they held office? And we can talk about all of these actors in Nigeria's political and economic landscape. Okay, so the next user is J. Faminigba. I hope I got your name. Pardon me if I didn't. And you say many investors, local, international, key players in the oil and gas industry have expected this for long. At MKRE, that's the former GCEO's handle, and his team are complacent and saturated in graft. Do you have proof for that allegation? Of course, we demand questions. Questions are valid, but blanket allegations, blanket submissions on, guilt conferred on individuals may not necessarily be good. But no one can openly voice out, more so as Dr. Pius Akinyelure, the president's right-hand man, is the board chairman. Well,
okay.
Valid question there, or valid concern. It's just the approach.
Okay, Farouk Dan Musa says, congratulations to him, well-deserved appointment. We from the north, we have done our tenure successfully. I just pity the rest of the southern region. I don't even think
Mr. Julari is also from the north.
I don't want to go through all your messages, but you have your point anyway. I guess he's talking about the issue of...
Mr. Julari is from the north.
Oh, really?
North Central.
Okay.
Kwara is north.
But Julari is from the North Central.
North Central.
Yes. Yeah, so let's be clear. By region, he's from the North Central, but by ethnicity, he's a Yoruba man.
I think we've done the work of the managers of the presidency this morning, because if they were tackled, they would maneuver the argument by saying that...
No, you can't take it away. That's from the North Central.
It's from the North Central,
the North Central
yeah.
has been advocating for opportunities at this federal level. So this is the opportunity. So we'll give it to them so they can manage this one for now, and all of that. Let's go to that tribunal case.
All right. You have the first one.
Dismissing Igodalo's petition affirms Okpebolo as the governor of Edo State. So congratulations, Your Excellency, Monday Okpebolo. It's a mixed situation for him now. On one hand, he's dealing with Uromi issue, and now this is bringing some level of joy to him that his mandate is not shaky, at least at the first, at this level. He'll go to appeal. Of course, it will end up at the Supreme
Jeffrey,
Court.
I wish I could say that I was going to be surprised by whatever the tribunal would return as a verdict, but most Nigerians are not surprised, so maybe they just turn and move on.
I think when we discuss this, I'm going to help Nigerians understand why it's hard to prove cases in court when it comes to elections like this. Our laws, our own laws are supposed to help makes it difficult, trust me. But there's an escape route that was provided in the amended Electoral Act. But the pronouncement of the Supreme Court literally almost invalidated that because of the Evidence Act. So there's a conflict at the end of the day. Let's hear from Stephen Orukpe. Okpebolo is a winner man, simple and straight.
Are you a member of the APC? Well, let's
he
hear
has his
from...
valid reason. Maybe he's a party man. Fantastic.
Yeah,
he has to rejoice.
Let's hear from Emmanuel MB, who says, lessons. For Nigeria's elections, no matter how good a candidate thinks he or she is, I believe you're trying to say they must do everything within their power and resources to ensure you win the main election. The Nigeria court is not guaranteed to give it to you, no matter how good your case may look. So I guess it's echoing your sentiment there, Jeffrey. And,
yeah.
There's even a balance to it, in Nigerian local kind of communication. In Yoruba now, they say, jagba. You just snatch it at the first contest, which is the election, and then they can go to court. The others can go to court and cry. So it's really concerning.
It's very concerning. And it's the law that will help us out.
It's a dent on our elections, our election practice, the culture of our, and it's a very big aspect of our democracy. In fact, it's a determinant of how our democracy, should go. And
it's a lot of work.
At the first level, it falls short.
Let me read to you what the Electoral Act, Section 137 says. It shall not be, on the part they talk about effect on non-compliance now, because those are part of the grounds you can, take the case to court. It shall not be necessary for a party who alleges non-compliance with the provision of this act for the conduct of elections to call oral evidence if originals or certified true copies manifestly disclose the non-compliance alleged. But when we go to the Supreme Court, the presidential election, issues of witnesses, evidence, because according to our evidence acts, if you say something happens, you have to provide evidence. So this provision is supposed to remove that human element, that if I have the document, where do I need the human beings? It will take time of court if I bring 1,000 people, and Nigerians don't like to go to court. Nigerians don't like to go to police station. So it's quite difficult. So that's why we're talking about it.
The burden of proof challenge. Okay, so we go ahead to Edo. We're still in Edo State, right?
Yes.
This time around, it's a different story. I never believed in Obaseki, even before swearing in. That's ascribed to Shaibu. I believe that's a former deputy governor who fell out with his principal. And
I think it was on our program.
Yeah.
One of our programs, because is it Political Paradigm?
Political Paradigm, yeah, with Terry.
Yeah.
So I hear about Akoji, is the first user, who says the same government he was a deputy governor in for 8 years before running out of favor because Obaseki refused him. PDP appointed governorship card bearer for governor. What we don't hear from Nigerian politicians doesn't exist. In fact, it doesn't exist. They will, in fact, if it doesn't exist, they will manufacture it. So that this has been recrafted from another, popular line in Nigerian social media space. Jeffrey.
Let's get a senior advocate to come in on this one. Senior advocate of Nigeria, Sam Kargo, was supposed to join us earlier. Glitches, I guess. I hope you're not caught in traffic, Leonard Silk, by any shape or form in the air. But thank you for coming on the program. Perhaps we'll let you speak to the issue of the...
Thank you for having me. I'm sorry. And,
It's okay.
Right.
It's okay, Leonard Silk. So now that we have you, we've been talking about what's played out in Edo, and people have been reacting with the issue of, with the outcome of the tribunal judgment. Congratulations to Monday Okwebula, the governor. His mandate has been held up by the tribunal, but the petitioner is proceeding to the appeal court. Of course, we know it's going to all the way to the Supreme Court. And we're talking about the encumbrances of law, conflicting position. What do you make of the outcome of this tribunal judgment, and also speak to the issue of Evidence Act versus the provision of the Electoral Act as well?
Yeah, thank you. I don't think there is any conflicting judgment yet on this, but let me just talk generally on the challenges of one upturning an electoral mandate. The law is, or the electoral jurisprudence is harsh against the petitioner and very, very favorable to the winner of an election. Once you've won the election, there is that presumption that the result that was announced by INEC was indeed the result as manifested in the electoral documents, which are the forms EC8A to form EC8E. And usually there is that presumption that whatever you find in those documents, it's the true and result that reflected the voting pattern during the election. And when you now go to court, challenging the election, like in this case, I think they were challenging, their ground was that of overvoting. The process of proving that is very, very onerous. You need to have the BVAS, the bimodal gadget that replaced the former one. You need to have that, tender it, and get the figures out of it. You also need to tender all the electoral documents, and you call witnesses that would testify for you for every polling station that you have your complaint on. And that is difficult because you only have, most times, not more than 10 days to do that. And you are talking about the whole state. You have to call witnesses for every polling unit that you complain about, and usually it's the aggregate of that evidence that will be assessed. In the case of overvoting, we are talking about figures, saying that if the right mathematics is done, you are the winner. And the only section of the Electoral Act that speaks directly to cancellation of result due to discrepancy between accreditation and the figures that are announced is Section 51(2) of the Electoral Act. All the other provisions are one petitioners usually draw inferences from to say, because of this or that, that election should be cancelled. So your own onus, what we call the onus, which is actually your responsibility or duty, is for you to bring evidence and conduct your own proceedings before the tribunal, so that at the end of the day, the tribunal would have the belief from your own evidence that indeed, when the math is done, addition and subtraction are done from the documents that are presented, you are the winner. That's a very, very onerous task. On the other hand, if your complaint is that the election was marred by whatever complaints you have, then that is a higher onus, because unlike this one that is issue of mathematics, issue of addition and subtraction, here you have to prove every allegation to the hilt. It's not just you asking the tribunal to draw inferences from whatever. And the law is also that you cannot impute one evidence that you have from one polling unit to the other polling unit. So you have the responsibility of proving every allegation for every polling unit. And if also your complaint is about malpractice, it's not just enough to say that third parties committed this malpractice. You must also connect the activities of those third parties to the winner of the election. So this is a very difficult one, and that's why it's always very difficult for you to actually overturn an election.
But Senior Advocate, what can we learn, what lessons can we learn from this challenge of the burden of proof and the pattern of how INEC has defended its case in maybe one or two examples, perhaps from the Supreme Court's decision on the presidential election of 2023?
Well, you see, INEC, usually INEC is misunderstood. If I understand what your question, INEC is usually misunderstood because there is always that general feeling that INEC should not really defend the mandate it has declared, the return of the winner, and that it should stay neutral. I do not think so, because one of the complaint you are complaining is an indictment against INEC and for its own reputation. And if indeed the INEC believes that it did what it's supposed to do, mind you, its responsibility is to substantially comply with the Electoral Act. And if it thinks that she has discharged that burden and you are complaining, it behooves on it to defend that particular declaration and return robustly like it's been doing. And most of the time too, it's I don't know if I made myself clear here to see where the devil lies. It's in the Electoral Act itself and the jurisprudence of it. You see, you have stated that the electoral disputes are to be processed by a a special proceeding, a process you call sui judice, a standalone procedure. But at the end of the day, standalone as it is, you still impute some responsibility that somebody who is proving a case, especially a criminal case, the same responsibility that that one had is the same responsibility that you are given to it. That in sometimes if you allege criminality, you have to prove it beyond reasonable point.
Oh, dear. Senior advocates, we wanted to hear your thoughts on this one as much as we can. But, well, we'll have him back some of the time on the program network, knocking off that conversation. Sam Kargo is a senior advocate of Nigeria, enlightening us on electoral jurisprudence, which we can keep improving on until we get to that place where we can all say, okay, we're getting there. But the results, the decision has been made. Congratulations to the winner. Of course, if you're not comfortable, you head to the higher courts. We'll take a quick break. When we come back, we'll piggyback on a few things we've said, but this time we're talking about perception management, repositioning our image, and rebranding Nigeria. That's the conversation. An expert who is a guru in marketing communication will be joining us right here on the program in just a moment. Join us again.